I was not meant to be driving. He just let me go out on the track while his team was there most weekends. Then I didn't want to race. I was too scared. So it took probably around, a year and a half to actually finally race. But then once I raced, I never looked back. I got lapped in my first weekend, which I wasn't very happy about. So needed to go back and win races.
Welcome to The Pass, Track Talks, the ultimate traveling podcast for motorsport stories.
We are Nicole and Mattia, and together we wish to narrate the characters of the little big world that we're so passionate about.
We meet the drivers as well as the insiders directly at the racetracks, and throughout our unfiltered talks, behind-the-scenes anecdotes, pure emotions, and fragments of intense life emerge, together with the universal values that characterize this discipline.
Because in some way, the pass is also about you. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of The Pass, Track Talks. I'm Mattia Livraghi.
I'm Nicole Miotto.
And today we're extremely happy and honored to be here with a new guest. We are at the Autodromo Nazionale Monza. We're here for the ACI Racing Weekend, but as usual, we will not speak about the race. We will speak about the story of our guest, James Wharton. Thank you for being here, James. We really appreciate it, and we're looking forward to begin this chat. There's no premise to do by Nikki because
there's no cars running anymore.
Usually.
So.
Yeah, okay, well, thank you guys for having me. It's obviously, I've seen you guys on my Instagram search page many times over the last couple of years. The one I remember correctly is my teammate Lorenzo from a couple of years ago. So yeah, I know you guys, definitely seen you guys around.
That's nice. It means Instagram is working a bit. if we end on your search. Yeah, Lorenzo was actually our first karting guest, and we did him in Franciacorta last year, October last year, I think.
I think it's quite hard to go from Lorenzo to someone better in karting, to be honest. He started with a high level.
Yeah.
You know it well, because you were teammates in karting. Well. You gave us an excellent intro, because we're here at the Autodromo Nazionale Monza, and this is a bit home for us. I'm from Milan, Nikki Como, so we're here around. We know you come from a long far away, but do you feel this is a bit home for you too now, after all those years?
Yeah, for sure. I moved from Australia, from karting already in overseas karting. I moved to Italy, Desenzano del Garda. I lived here already since I was 10 years old.
Ah, wow.
I spent a couple of months, a couple of years in Maranello, but mainly I'm based in Desenzano, so Italy is basically my home now. I've nearly lived in Italy longer than Australia, so...
Well, that's true.
Can nearly call myself Italian.
The decision of moving, or were you too young?
The decision of moving was a bit like rushed, let's say, to a point, because we knew we wanted to start in Europe, but we just decided, okay, let's pack our bags and go. We ended up spending around, I think, 3 or 4 months the first time after planning on 1 week. So that was a big change. And then my dad really, really loved the city of Desenzano. So he said, okay, if we're going to do this, let's just move Desenzano. And I think 6 months later, we were moving in Europe, in Italy, and already in the house. So it moved very quickly for me. I was, I think, 9 years old at that stage. So I was just following my dad at that point. But yeah, for me, it was just about getting on a racetrack, racing the best people in the world. And at that point, I was ready to move already, which sounds a little bit cocky, let's say, but I felt I was ready to move to Europe. So yeah, we made a decision super early.
So it wasn't difficult to leave your country?
It was very difficult, especially since my mum and sister are always in Australia. So I see them maybe 2 or 3 times a year.
You moved only with your father?
Yeah, only with my father at the start. Now I'm fully alone in Europe. So I live by myself in Italy now. But yeah, had to leave mum. At 9 years old is not easy. Had to start cleaning and cooking myself. Dad's good, but not good enough at cooking. So I had to start doing it myself. Yeah.
Wow. Do you recall like those moments? Because I imagine that you were happy to be there because you knew you were doing it for racing. But I mean, probably at 17, I would have struggled to do something like that. Or even 18. I can't imagine what it must have been at 9. So was it also challenging on a mental point of view, or was...
to be honest, I think the hardest part was COVID already when I was 13, 14 years old already. Because in COVID, I knew I don't know when I'll see my mum next, let's say, because we didn't know if I could get home or any of that. So I spent, I think, 11 months away from Australia at that point. So I didn't see my mum for 11 months in COVID. So that was the only time where it got a bit difficult and a bit of questions were asked, like, why am I actually here? Why am I doing this? Because it was a big sacrifice. But I think from that point on, it was fine. But even when I was younger, it was very easy. We were racing every weekend in karting. It's not like Formula where you have some break. Every weekend you're on track, so you forget where you are most of the time.
You kept yourself distracted.
Yeah, exactly. Distracted by racing. Perfect.
But did you answer those questions in that difficult period, like when you were saying, why am I actually here?
Yeah, for sure, because it's hard to get to Formula One. We all know that, but I felt I'm good enough, and I still think I'm good enough. So I said, yeah, may as well keep going. I have the opportunity to do it, so may as well take it as far as I can and then see what happens after that.
Wow, that's powerful, because we do this podcast to communicate to people what motorsport is behind the scenes and what it means to people. And your story is a perfect example of this, because to move at such a young age, and also you said the word sacrifice. I think you have done quite a few, because for sure we are privileged to do this sport. I put myself into, because I raced too. I raced now a bit less, but yeah. But do you feel that these are sacrifices? Because sometimes people struggle to understand that it's not just racing and having fun, it's also sacrificing other parts of your life and other aspects to do this.
Yeah, exactly. Like, as you said, it was completely right. Monday to Thursday, or whenever you go to the track, you're working in the gym or something like that. Like, you're not just sitting around playing games or something. Like, you're still working during the week. So it's not just a Thursday to Sunday thing. You don't go on a track walk Thursday and that's when the week starts. For me, it's straight away from Monday morning after the race, we're back working for the next race, preparing for the next race. You go to your team, you do sim during the week. So it looks like an easy life from the outside, and everyone sees all the good results and all the things that happen on track. If you're on pole, everyone's happy for you. But when you DNF and have to go home by yourself, no one's there. So it's like, of course, there's a big difference. But I think we've all done it for so long. I think there's no one here that has been not in motorsport for the whole life. So we all know why we're here. And I think now it's just second nature.
Do you think it's difficult to find a, let's say, support system in the paddock? I mean, like friends, because it's quite a not lonely sport, but you are the protagonist. You can't be friend with your teammate.
Yeah, like I think it's the only sport in the world where your teammate's your biggest enemy. So like I'm really lucky enough to have really good friends in Ugo this year and Arvid last year, and Dino even. I think Dino's my best friend in Formula 3. So yeah, it's very hard to find good friends because, you know, you have to race them on track and end up being their enemy, but you can still be friends off track. When we put the helmet on, we're definitely not. But yeah, as you said, it's a very lonely sport because it's only us driving, and I think the support system around you is probably the biggest thing. Feeling comfortable during the weekends. I have a lot of Australians still around me, which I felt has helped me a lot, just feeling a bit more at home. So I can try and perform at my best, but I think that's only for the people away from Europe that really have that. But yeah, the people around you, I think, is everything. For me this year, 2024 has been amazing just from having, I feel, a better support system. And yeah, they've helped me a lot this season.
And did it change a lot between karting and Formula racing? Did also the life in the paddock change? Because at least we see this a lot in karting. It's maybe more of an easy atmosphere. You go around, the kids playing. Well, here it's already more going towards the professional side. So did you feel that change, or is it something that actually from the inside is not like this?
But to be honest, I've had like 2 stages. I've had the Australian karting, which is exactly how you described, of everyone's best friends and we're there to have fun. Then you move to Europe and already there's bigger trucks, there's bigger teams, bigger names. Let's say, you know, the people driving, especially Lorenzo Travasanuto. I looked up to him when I was in Australia, and then found myself his teammate 3-4 years later. So things like that, obviously it's a big step for us, but then you move into the Formula paddock and then you get to the proper racing, I say. I feel people in karting really need to start having more fun, because I feel like once you arrive to Formula, it starts to get really serious, and then you have to start performing and people really look at you in Formula. So for me, my biggest thing that I would change already, only being 18, is just having more fun in karting, enjoying it more, because I feel I was already too serious then, and now Formula has become exactly the same as karting for me. So for me, just have fun in karting as well. I think it's really enjoyable, and then you go to Formula and then start doing a bit more of a job, but I think we all enjoy it.
That's a very nice thought. Thank you for sharing this, because actually it's a common topic the one of karting becoming already too serious. And it's nice, but also it makes us reflect to hear you saying that you're so young and you would have changed this. Would you have changed something else even when you were younger in facing the races now that you have more experience, even if you're still only 18?
Yeah, like, to be honest, it's very easy to say once you've learnt. Like, I think my dad has a really good thing. You don't know until you don't know. So yeah, I don't know what I could have done better at that point, and I felt I was doing the best I can. But of course, being 18 now, I know exactly what I could have done better. But yeah, I think you're always learning, and it's just about learning every time you go on the track, or any day you do, you just have to learn, and that's the biggest thing. Of course, you can change things many years before, but at the end of the day, it's already done, and you have to move to the past.
Wow. Recalling also the first races in Europe coming from Australia, I guess, as you said, it was very different. Were you a bit like intimidated, or was there something worrying you when you came into the paddock the first times?
To be honest, probably day one track walk, I was a bit like, whoa, it's a really big thing. And then practice one in the Rock Cup final in 2017, I was P1. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I guess I'm good enough to be here. So that obviously really kickstarted and helped my confidence. Not many people have that first initial interaction, but for me, I was really lucky to get picked up by Paralin Motorsport straight away. In my first session, Marco Paralin come up to me and said, I want you to drive for me next season. So for me, it was super easy to get into Europe, and there was no real, say, confidence lost or anything coming here. I just knew immediately I was able to fight at the front, and yeah, it's been quite simple.
Wow, I didn't know this story. And I mean, coming as a very young kid from Australia, when you saw Marco Parolin, the owner of Parolin Motorsport, Parolin Racing, coming there, wow, how did you react to that? Because I mean,
yeah, it's very hard to, let's say, react at 9 years old to a team boss coming up to you, but yeah, like now I look at it, it's probably the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Wow. And that was also kind of a second family growing up with them.
Yeah, for sure. Again, I had Australian mechanics and my dad's still there. So I was still in my own little bubble inside an Italian team. Didn't understand a word they were saying for many years.
Was that difficult? Like, did you feel a bit left out?
Yeah, you feel left out, but I have so many Australian people with me that it makes it a little bit easier, for sure. But I think it made me learn as well from a young age that there's different countries, different cultures, different languages. So I think it was good for me in a way, but for sure you feel a bit left out when there's a joke being said and you have no clue what they said, but still have to laugh anyway.
And many jokes in an Italian karting paddock.
Exactly.
But we didn't say how it all started in Australia, though.
Ah, that's true.
Yeah, well, my racing career sort of started from my father, but he did karting on a very low level. But then he is so passionate about the sport. He did a lot of running teams. He had a lot of karting teams, and I was not meant to be driving. He just let me go out on the track while his team was there most weekends. So I wasn't really meant to start racing, but then I started to practice quite a lot and got quite fast. But then I didn't want to race. I was too scared. For the first year, from 6 to 7, I never raced because I would always go, but never wanted to race, got a bit too scared. So it took probably around, a year and a half to actually finally race. But then once I raced, I never looked back. I got lapped in my first weekend, which I wasn't very happy about. So needed to go back and win races. But yeah, for me, it just started from my father. He had a racing team and I just used to practice and wanted to race after.
Wow, that's a very nice story, because usually many drivers come and say, oh yeah, I started, it was something I immediately wanted, I was immediately fast. It's nice to hear that this was different for you. Do you remember how that clicked? Like how did you change? Because as you grew up seeing your father doing this and practicing, but then you said 1 year I didn't race. How did it change?
I think it's just like the first time I got the courage to actually do it, I was more just nervous to be in I don't know now what I was thinking, but I was more nervous to actually race. And then, once I did it the first time, obviously I fell in love. And I think the competitive side come out of me when I come last in the first race. I was like, I never want that to happen again.
And it didn't.
No, never again.
Wow. And so you immediately had also the motivation, because maybe you could also get a bit, oh my God, now in English I missed the term demoralizzato,
Demoralized.
Yeah, thanks.
Not really, because I think it's about how you were brought up as well. I think my family is super motivated, and the way my dad started his business was from nothing as well. So I've always had that behind me of never giving up and making sure you're always doing better.
Wow. It's, I think, a very nice learning and also to share it. And before you said you used the term serious when you were defining yourself already in karting. And seeing you in karting also in 2021, I remember your first year in KZ. I always saw you very calm. And usually in karting, you see different characters, different young kids coming up. And so I wanted to ask you, because I never did, like, how did you manage to, maybe then there were other moments when I didn't see you that you were a bit not as calm, but is it that the way you grew up, or was it something you learned to deal with emotions, with pressure?
I think I've always been quite a calm person in general. I have no real issues in life. Racing is quite a fun thing, and to be doing this and not working is perfect. So there's no real issues or something in life to be able to be upset. So yeah, I'm quite calm in general. So even if I do have a bad race, even now, of course I'm disappointed, but you have to look forward to the next day, and you can obviously always redeem yourself.
Sorry to ask, but is your father serious, strict? I mean, with you, because you're very mature for your age. Yeah. So I'm asking myself this: is your father, your parents, or maybe someone else who brought you up also in karting, they have been strict with you? Or
yeah, my dad was obviously very strict, but it's because once I decided to race, he said, if we're going to do it, let's do it properly, and I made sure that I understood why I was doing what I was doing. At the start, he let me have fun, and if I didn't want to do it, I didn't want to do it. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of sacrifice for them as well. So he wanted to make sure that I'm always focused on what I'm doing and making sure I'm doing the job properly and not leaving anything to chance. That is the main thing. But yeah, my mum is complete opposite. She doesn't want me to race, doesn't want me to do any of this. But yeah, she's probably the calm side of everything. Just wants me to be safe, and she's happy with whatever.
Does she watch your races? Or
to be honest, I called her the other day. Well, she called me, and then she said, I accidentally called you, even though I haven't spoken to her in 3 weeks. So I think mum is fine. She just lets me do my own thing, lets me have fun. And if I need her, I call her and she'll be there.
But did she ever come to see a race here?
Yeah, she comes probably 2-3 times a year to some races. But yeah, she doesn't, I don't think she enjoys getting the nerves. So she just loves to stay home with my sister.
And you said before about the COVID period, that was a challenging one. Leaving aside that, were there ever times where you had some doubts about racing, about doing those sacrifices again and again, or have you always been fully committed?
I think I've always been fully committed. I think my parents maybe wouldn't say the same thing. They would definitely like me to stop during COVID, especially just to go home. But I think, yeah, they've always supported every decision I've made. So yeah, I think it's been easy for me to say that I've always been committed to it.
Wow.
That's impressive, because also going, let's say, against your parents at such a young age, to be so confident and be like, no, I want this, I'm going to do this, when they are so far away. Yeah, it's not easy.
It's hard. Like, I think you have to try and make your own decisions, even though you're so young, but it's easy to say, but it's hard to do as well.
But maybe it's a stupid question. I try. Maybe you tell me if it's stupid. Do you think the motivation comes more from your passion for driving, or from the dream to arrive at a certain level, which the two things are also linked to each other, obviously? But
yeah, I think it's probably a harder question to answer, of where the motivation...
He was kind. He said hard and not stupid.
No, it wasn't stupid at all, but the motivation is a very hard thing to say, because of course we love to win, and that's probably the thing motivating us. And if you win, you move up and you can keep going in your career. So for me, it's just about winning. Like even podiums, if you've had a hard weekend, you take them, and that motivates you to do better. But yeah, for me, the motivation just comes from, let's say, finishing the result and beating everyone else that was there.
A nice mindset. But what about, we know in motorsport, you have victories, you have success if you're good, and you are good. But everyone, also the best, have the tough days where races don't go as planned. How do you find that? Because now you're speaking about the motivation, but it's not always like that. It's not always the podiums, the nice moments. So how do you keep finding that motivation even when things don't go as planned?
Yeah, I think I'm probably the best person to ask you that. I've had lots of lows the last couple of years, just from not being fast enough in 2020 in karting to the first year of F4 being a little bit on the back foot. So I've had to really fight to be better, but for me, it's sort of the same thing, just trying to be better every weekend. Even when you're down, you're the only person that can get better. So that's a motivation that it's not everyone else's fault. It's up to you, especially if your teammates are winning. You know the car's good enough, so you need to go and try and beat them.
This is a sport. No, you wanted to say something, Nikki?
No, go. I'll ask later.
Sorry, I speak a bit too much sometimes, so.
Absolutely fine. It's less speaking for me.
Now I forgot. No, I'm joking. Because this is a sport where you can easily find an excuse. And you said it's no one else's fault and it's mine. Are you very strict on yourself too?
Could be definitely a bit stricter. Sometimes I let myself go a little bit. But yeah, I'm quite strict on myself at the tracks for sure. Maybe in gym, I'm really strict as well. I really enjoy gym, so I push a lot there. But in everyday life, I let myself get away with sometimes having a burger here and there. But I like to go in the gym and work it off, so it doesn't really matter.
Actually, Lorenzo was the one that told us he didn't eat dessert for 5 years because he wanted to be...
Lorenzo is crazy with this. Like
I didn't believe him, honestly.
I've never
seen Lori. I don't believe 3 years without.
Completely telling the truth. As a teammate, I've never seen someone eat so cleanly. Really? Like every meal is perfect, and I can't do it. Like
I know I can't.
It's impossible for me to eat healthy every single day, every single meal. So I'll happily say that I have some bad meals here and there.
I mean, you need some bad meals there.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, I think you need to have some fun. I think again, too serious in karting sometimes.
What's your favorite Italian food? Maybe this is a stupid question.
Oh
no, I think pasta for sure. Like I love pasta, ravioli. It's my go-to. It's not very normal, but I love ravioli. But yeah, I don't like the pizza in Italy compared to Australia. So,
Australia?
Is it different?
Yeah, we have a little thicker dough.
Oh,
or
okay.
They call it crust dough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like ours better, but your pasta is heaps better.
But we talked about the racing side. What about the lifestyle? Was it difficult to adapt to Italian lifestyle, or was that easier?
I tried to, let's say, be Australian still in a way. The only thing that I struggled with is what time you guys have dinner. It's like way too late compared to what I'm used to. Really had to get used to that. Like I was 5:30, 6 o'clock, already finished dinner in bed most of the time in Australia.
No.
And then I come to Spain, I think was the first race in junior, and we were eating at 10 o'clock. I was like, yeah, this is too late for me. So now I eat at normal times for you guys, not for me. But yeah, I've learned how to, or when to have dinner, let's say. But that's probably been the only thing that I've had to adapt to. Other than that, it's been pretty straightforward.
But sorry to ask, but in Australia, so you eat so early and then you go to bed?
Yeah, we go to bed, but we wake up quite early. Like our day starts a bit earlier than here, like 6 a.m. we're awake because we've gone to bed at 8, 9 o'clock.
Yeah, of course.
And were there times where you really felt that you were missing Australia, missing home, missing your maybe routine at home?
To be honest, the routine at home and routine in Europe is exactly the same for me. I've always raced and it's always been that. So I haven't missed any of my routines because it's exactly the same. So the only thing I miss is my shower and my bed and my house. But other than that, everything's okay.
Motorsport is your home. So you're just moving around with that.
Apart from the bathroom.
Yeah. Apart from the shower, it's so much better at home.
I always miss also my bathroom when I go away. So I feel you. But maybe I don't go as far away. Like, I mean.
Oh.
Yeah, we just live in hotels at the end of the day.
But I saw you had a question this time.
I literally went blank. I had a question, and then as soon as you started speaking, I forgot.
So I've discovered he's talking too much again.
Yeah.
That's not very good.
Oh.
I'm sorry. It's something that happens in every episode. No, but before when we were stalking you around.
I got stalked? No.
No,
just on Instagram.
Just on the internet, yeah. We were asking ourselves, what is like a day in the life of a driver, a day in the life of James Wharton when he's not on track though? Because many people don't know what you guys do when you're not on track.
Yeah, well, to wake up whenever I wake up, whatever time that is, then I normally go to the gym in the morning. So I don't like training in the afternoons. I get too sleepy and the motivation's gone. So I need to make sure I do it in the morning. But then I play way too much golf. So I'm at the golf course anytime I can be. So if I have a free day, I'll go golf. Like it's now 7 p.m. or 6 p.m.
Yeah. Almost 6.
And I will be at the golf course 9 o'clock tomorrow morning because I've got nothing to do tomorrow.
Is it actually that fun?
No, it's not when you're playing bad, which is me most of the time. It's very frustrating. But yeah, I enjoy it so much. So James's life is just golf and gym.
Oh.
But do you find there's anything similar to golf and racing? Because they seem like very different sports.
I think is a lot of similarities, and that's why I think there's a lot of people playing, because the frustration is the biggest thing you have to get over, and in racing it's the same.
Really?
If you get past, you have to gather yourself and go to
course.
the next corner. So I think golf is very relatable, especially in having to practice so much to get good. And again, it's just you in the car, it's just you playing golf. So I think there's a lot of similarities that people don't really see.
Huh.
You said frustration, and before, when we were searching for you around, we saw the last lap of a Formula 4 race at Paul Ricard.
Yes.
Last lap, leading the race, you got a puncture. What happens inside you when those things happen?
Yeah, it was a fuel pump issue in the engine. Not a puncture.
In fact, actually, Ian Silvestri, the voice.
Yeah, he said
number one.
He
But
said
then
puncture.
watching the video, I couldn't see the flat wheel.
Yeah, the fuel pump broke. Yeah, in those moments you can't do anything. Like you just lose all like happiness, because I actually made a big mistake in that race. In the back chair, started thinking about my celebration because I was so far ahead, and that was the last time I'll ever do that. But yeah.
But when were you starting thinking about the celebration?
About a corner before the fuel pump broke.
No. So you believe that those things are connected?
100%, and I will never do the same thing again. Yeah, but yeah, when things like that happen, you know that everyone knows you should have won the race, especially being so far ahead. So it's something that I take quite well, because I know that I did the best I could for that day, and things happen, and never think about your celebration before the finish line is my answer to everybody.
You know that I started thinking, I started racing in karting like I was 9 years old, 8. And before my first race, I was already thinking, my brother and I raced together, and we were like practicing how to celebrate if we won a race. But I started racing in 2008. I won my first race in 2012. So it took quite a while.
You had a lot of time to prepare.
Yeah.
Many weekends of preparing.
And obviously the celebration wasn't as I had planned, because then in those moments. But are you, how do we say it in English? Scaramantico. You know when like you do the same things because you believe that superstitious.
Superstitious.
Yeah.
This is the word I was looking for as well, even though I'm the English one here. Yeah, I'm crazy superstitious. Like my pre-race routine is exactly the same every time. But like outside of racing, not at all. Just the way I get in the car and the way I put my suit on, even the underwear, the socks, and like the pants, I put on the same way every time.
The same way?
Yeah, I have to go left leg before the right leg, and have to do the socks before the pants. So
do you remember when it started?
I think from karting, like already. Yeah, no, I don't know why, but it's just always been a habit for me. I think now it's more of a habit than a superstition, but it's just that much of a habit that it just becomes a superstition.
But do you believe that James person and James driver are very similar, or they are two different kind of?
I think they're exactly the same person. Yeah, I think on and off track, I'm exactly the same. I think on track, I a bit more, let's say, selfish, let's say, especially when I'm fighting someone. But I think everything else, on a quali lap, I'm probably the exact same as right now.
Wow. That's curious to know, because many drivers say that they like have a sort of transformation when they get in the car. This is also being very aware of like yourself. So do you think you know yourself well, despite being so young? So you always get to know more about yourself.
Yeah, I like to say I do. I like to say I know how I'm feeling for a day. Like I like to be able to say that before a session, I know exactly where I'll be. Like on time wise, and if the car is good, I probably know exactly where I'll be. And at the end of the lap, I can definitely tell you if I've done well or not. So I like to say I have a lot of, let's say, self-orientation and knowing what I can do.
And this is in everything you do in life, or only in racing?
Not in golf. But apart from that, yeah, I like to think so.
Do you analyze your races really well afterwards? Or if you know you've made a mistake, you can't watch it, for example?
Yeah, no, I don't watch my races back at all. Even when I win, I don't. I already did it. As I said, look in the future. So yeah, for me, I don't like to overanalyze anything. Even when we're doing data or something, I like to just be simple and know where I need to improve, and that's it.
And what about when, like, at first you were saying that being a bit on the back foot when you started your Formula career, but also in 2020 in karting, and you were speaking about yourself. What do you actually work on in those moments? Even because I guess that there are some times where you know exactly what is going wrong, but there are also times which are the most challenging ones, probably, where you're not really sure what is wrong.
Yeah, I think you just have to go back to basics, let's say. Back to what you know, back to just driving simple. And then I think over time, the momentum will start coming back. I think this sport is all about momentum. So if you have a couple of bad weeks, it just keeps rolling on a little bit and it's hard to get back. But for me, it's just about going back to basics, going back to who James is, especially like this season. As I said, the group around me has become a lot better, and I felt that's what I needed last year. I didn't feel comfortable at all times of the day. So like this year, I've changed the people around me and just feel more comfortable, and that's able to be in a better mindset and have a bit more structure in my day, which is making everything a lot easier.
Thank you for sharing this, and I don't want to stress you, but we try to speak here on this podcast about the mental side of racing, the psychological side, the emotional side. How is it important? Because then we always say in Italian, in piede destro, no? The right foot, how much you're fast on track, but actually when you're not in the cart, it's as important actually. So the atmosphere around you, how can you explain to people how important that is?
I think it's everything in our sport. I think everyone can do a good lap on their day. You see people like Kimi Antonelli who can perform every weekend, and that's why he's in Formula One. But you have other people, I like to say sometimes myself, where I can be easily the fastest on track, but some days I am not quite there. But that's the mental side of things, where every weekend you just have to keep performing. And since the summer break, I think that's exactly what I've done. I've been off the podium once in the last 4 weekends. And that was P5 starting 16th. So I did quite a good race even there. But yeah, since the summer break, I feel like I've finally ticked that box in my career, and hopefully I can take that momentum into my next journey, my next years. And I think now I finally got the switch of what I really needed.
Oh, it's incredible to hear how, like, the self-awareness you have. And looking back on those years of racing, we like to ask our guests, like, what was the craziest experience you've had? Because you're always so calm, so self-aware, but was there like a time where you said, oh, this is crazy? I mean, both in a positive or negative way, I don't know.
It's not really, to be honest. Like, of course, every win is special. And for me, it's probably my first win overseas was in America, Las Vegas, on a street track.
The Scusa.
Yeah, the Scusa. So I won 2018, 2019, and it was my first big win apart from Australia. So that was probably the coolest moment I've ever had. And I won both years by under a tenth, like together. So against the same person, Connor Zilic. Yeah, he lost both times by half a tenth. Feel sorry for him, but not really.
Really?
But yeah, that was probably the best time I've had.
What does it mean to race there? Because I always watch it on live streaming, but I've never been there. We were planning on going there.
Yeah.
We hope.
Hopefully.
It's a really good race.
Yeah.
Really good race. So, like, I did 5 years in a row, I think, in karting, and yeah, it's just it's a very special race. I have Macau in 2 weeks' time, which I think is going to be the Formula Racing version of that. But yeah, Scusa is something special.
If you had the occasion, would you go back to race again?
I miss karting to a point, but not really. To be honest, maybe Vegas is the only race I would actually go back for in KZ for sure.
You say you miss karting, yeah, but not really not because of the driving, I guess, but because of the other aspects.
To be honest, the driving, my body is too old for that now. Even though I'm 18 now, karting is way too hard on the body. This is much more simple, and it's more about the driver.
Oh, wow. It's strange to hear this, because usually maybe people say there is this concept of saying that karting maybe is a bit more the basics, the roots.
For sure, it's where you start. It's where you get your dream from. But I think, again, it's just the basics. Like, it gets a bit boring, especially if you're not racing. Like, I enjoy driving Formula just to have fun, especially in practice or something. I enjoy it so much.
What's your favorite track?
every driver will just say where they win the most. But no, for me, Spa is really, really cool. I don't know why, but I fell in love with it from the first time. But yeah, to be honest, I like all tracks, especially the Italian tracks like Imola, Mugello. Monza, not so much actually, to be honest. That's very controversial to say, but Monza for me is just too many straights. I like to have corners, yeah.
You like more Scusa type of circuit.
Exactly, with street track, a lot of corners and not many straights.
But you never raced in Monaco, right? No.
No, I will race Monaco next year. Will be super cool.
Wow.
Are you excited?
Yeah.
You had a question about the calendar, actually. You were thinking.
Yeah,
about...
if you had the possibility to choose next year's race calendar, what would you choose?
Any track in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, start in Melbourne.
Okay.
Then we go Yas Marina. It's one of my favorite tracks. Then Mugello, Spa, Silverstone, Monaco, and Macau. I think this is a perfect calendar.
And then you go back to Australia for the last round.
Yeah, and then back to Australia.
Just for fun.
Yeah, just for fun. But yeah, no, for me, the tracks we go to next year are super cool anyway.
Wow. Do you feel if you think about the 9-year-old who moved to Europe to race and you see yourself now, do you think you've changed a lot or you're the same kid?
I think I'm still a kid, personally, but no. I think I've changed quite a lot on track, like maturity wise, but off track, I think I'm the exact same. I'm not sure if people agree, but I agree with that. How I think, yeah, I'm exactly the same as when I was 9 years old.
You were already so mature, also off track at 9.
Yeah, I think so. To be honest, I think I'm even less mature now at all point. Yeah.
Wow, that's very nice, and we thank you. We would stay here like talking for hours and hours, but unfortunately we don't have all this time. So we're going towards the final part. But I saw you having.
Yeah, I only had one curiosity. If you could choose not how a race weekend could go, but what is the most fun race weekend, to come up from the back or to be at the front every session?
Be at the front every session. It's just easier. Makes life so much more simple.
And what about media? Because first, when we were joking about me talking too much, I know, I'm sorry. You said less talk for me, but actually you're very good, and you're.
Yeah, it's probably something I've had to work on for sure. I'm a very talkative person outside of media, cameras, and all of that stuff. But yeah, once I feel comfortable, I won't stop talking. So it's a bit of a thing that I had to learn, because I started to speak a bit like a robot sometimes in media. But yeah, finally I'm starting to get a bit more comfortable with that. But yeah, I don't love media, but it's, I think, a big part of it, and try and show people who we really are, because I think some people have no clue like who we are as a people, as a person, and what our, let's say, things are in life and how we like to present ourselves. They just see crash on track and think we're a bad person. So it's good to, let's say, get ourselves out there as well.
That's interesting. Do you feel like not the pressure, but do you care about what people think about you?
For sure, everyone cares like what people think, but like at the end of the day, if you don't know me, you don't know me. You can't comment on how I am as a person. But yeah, I think it's very important to have a good perception, and I like to say I'm a good person, so I would like people to think that as well. But yeah, I think it's very easy for people to have opinions when they don't know that person. But yeah, I think it's got quite good over the last couple of years with the media has really shown who the F1 drivers are, and that's probably the biggest thing now. You see who the F1 drivers are, but even us in Formula 4 and Formula Regional, you need that as well.
And so do you also today there were quite a lot of people out there, and I think that also with the younger generation getting passionate about motorsport, also thanks to what they're doing in other categories, there are much more young fans coming at the track also for your races. Do you like interacting with those people, or sometimes they're a bit too
I think it's perfect for us. Like, I enjoy it so much. Like, I think it's a incredible thing, and this weekend has been the biggest weekend, I think, of fans we've had this season. And to be honest, can't wait to get to Australia to have people from my country as well.
Wow. Are you already planning on many? Do you have because you've moved so
far?
Yeah,
at such a young age.
At such a young age, yeah. Sorry. Do you have still a lot of friends there, or are more of your friends in the paddock? So
I think it's more in the paddock. To be honest, I moved so early that it's hard to say. But yeah, in the paddock, I have so many now, especially inside of my own team. I think this year, my teammates and the team I have around me is the best I will probably ever get, as in people and the people I know, and how much friends I am with them as well. Like Ugo, who was my teammate this year, is basically my best friend. So like to be teammates with your best friend is like makes our life so much easier as well. The weekends are more enjoyable as well. So I think everyone probably has it in the paddock most of all because we're always here.
But so you don't agree with who says that you can't be friends with your like rivals?
I think you can be friends with everyone. Just when you're on track, of course, you're not going to be friends, but there's a maturity level again of when you get off track, you're not racing. So be friends with each other.
But how can you be so mature? Because even in case of like contacts or close battles, it's not easy. I mean, even if you're a mature person. But
of course, it's not easy. But at the end of the day, we're all racing to win. So of course, we've got to crash sometimes.
Wow. Thank you, James. I already started to thank you. We have actually or did you have something else?
No.
We'll let you free, so don't worry. But the last question that Nikki always does.
Yeah, we always ask our guests the last question because it's about our name, which is the pass. We chose the pass to to have something in common between life on track and life off track. So the pass, obviously, the overtake on track. But then in life, you can overcome a fear, a moment of difficulty, or you can achieve something really special. And so we like to ask our guests what is the pass, that one overtake or when they overcame something really important for them.
I think I answered that in the first question today of finally getting to race, like finally having the nerves to go away to finally race. I think that's my biggest thing, to be honest.
Thank you.
Oh, that's very nice. So the pass was actually the first step.
Sure. Well, thank you guys for having me. It's been a pleasure.
The pleasure was all ours. We thank you. We thank your manager, Raffaello. We thank the Autodromo Nazionale Monza, Matteo Losa, especially for having this space. We hope we will catch up again because our format allows this, so we can have more than one chat. Maybe you say no, basta.
Never want to see you again.
Yeah, we get.
But yeah, thank you very much, James. Thank you to all our viewers. Thank you to Lorenzo Arnone for all his support once again on this light system. And stay tuned. Follow us for having more content behind the scenes, more stories like James to get behind the scenes of motorsports. Thank you so much, James, again.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye, and see you on the next Track Talk.
Bye. Because in some way, the past is also about you.